Welcome into those of you streaming Big Ten action on CBS. I'm Joe Musso. Let's take a look at how it all went down between number 2 Michigan and Michigan State. Big-time implications, at least on one side of this matchup. Big Ten regular season finale. Michigan clinched the Big Ten regular season title with a win over Sparty on Thursday. Actually, the first time they're playing in consecutive games since 1983. Keep your enemies close. How's that go? Big spot for Michigan State as they sit squarely on the bubble early first half. Worrisome moments for the Wolverines. Eli Brooks lands awkwardly and had to be carried off the court, did not return. He's 4th on the team in scoring with 9 points per game. Not what you want to see headed towards tournament time. We move ahead mid-first half. Michigan down 1. Michigan up 2. That's Isaiah Livers with the corner 3. He had 7 in the first half. Then late first half, tied at 21. Rocket Watts pulling up, getting the friendly roll to put Sparty back up 2. A minute left in the half. Joey Hauser knocking down the 3 from the top of the arc. Sparty up by 5 at that point. Hauser and Watts combining for 20 points off the bench in the first half. Sparty led by 4 at the break. Mid-second half now. Marcus Bingham Jr. That's Hauser going to the mid-range, and then Marcus Bingham Jr. missing the putback. With some hustle plays, it finds Bingham Jr. once again the bucket and 1. Sparty up 9 after the missed free throw. Mid-second half, Michigan State up 8. Malik Hall dishing to Rocket Watts. He's killer from the elbow. Sparty up double digits. Watts was on fire in this one. Just over 3 to play. Michigan trying to make it a game. Not a ton to play for, but it is a rival. It's Franz Wagner for 3. The 90 seconds remaining. 5-point game. Wagner to Dickinson. The layup plus the foul. We got a 2-point game after the made free throw. Big Blue feeling it. Ensuing MSU possession. Aaron Henry dishes to Joshua Langford. Captain Clutch coming up with a big 3 to put Sparty back up by 5 late in this one, and they would not look back. Michigan State gets their 3rd win against an AP top 5 opponent this season. No one in the nation has more than 1, so perhaps punching a ticket to tourney time with this win on the final day of the regular season. 70-64, your final between these two rivals. At 9-11 in the Big Ten, Michigan State finishes the season with a losing conference record for the first time under Tom Izzo. Number 2 Michigan, meanwhile, they finished the season 19-3, 14-3 in the Big Ten. As we said, locking up that top overall seed in the Big Ten tournament and quite possibly on the 1 line when it does come Selection Sunday, 7 days from today. Michigan State was getting 8, didn't need them. Paid you plus 285 on the money line. This one comes in under the 138. Well, let's welcome in our guys Matt Norlander and Gary Parrish for more reaction to this finale of Big Ten regular season basketball. Guys, Michigan State needs the win in the worst way. They get it, and they get it against the number 2 team in the country, no less. Matt Norlander, I'll go to you first here. Plain and simple, did Sparty just punch their ticket?
You know what? I can't go that drastic. This is a very, very good win. But if Michigan State were to lose its first Big Ten tournament game, I think there would be enough doubt there with 12 total losses that I can't 100% definitively say. What I can say is no team has done better for its NCAA tournament outlook in the past 16, 17 days than the Michigan State Spartans. This is not arguable. Less than 3 weeks ago, Michigan State was 4-9 in the league. It was 10-9 overall. It had just dropped 2 games by a total of 40 points. Since then, MSU has gone 5-2 with a sweep of Indiana, effectively elbowing the Hoosiers out for good off the bubble. And then it got home wins, in the best possible home wins it could ever have. Against Illinois, projected 1 seed. Tonight against Michigan, projected 1 seed. And then Ohio State, which is slipping a little, nonetheless is going to be a very good seed. You see the resume here. 11 seed sounds about right to me. It's almost certainly going to get in. I would just advise against a bad-looking first loss in the Big Ten tournament. Tom Izzo streak's likely to continue. Good on Michigan State for getting the revenge win in back-to-back games against Michigan and bringing some drama to the process as they do so.
Joe, I'll go there for you. Yes, Michigan State is in the NCAA tournament. They're now 9-11 in the first 2 quadrants. They haven't lost anything outside of the first 2 quadrants. Norlander just told you their wins, Illinois, Michigan, Ohio State. They've got big wins compared to most bubble teams. They don't have those bad quadrant 3 losses like most bubble teams do. And yeah, I guess they could take a bad loss in the Big Ten tournament, but not that bad. I mean, any loss they could take is going to be a loss in the first 2 quadrants. There's not a quad 3 loss that they're going to take because any game on a neutral court against a top 100 net team is going to fall in the first two quadrants. Nebraska is the only Big Ten team outside of the top 100 of the net. So even the worst case scenario for Michigan State has them having a 0 in the loss column of quadrant 3. And again, they've got 9 victories inside of the first two quadrants. They're going to be fine. Michigan State will be in the bracket next Sunday.
Yeah, we have seen the committee in the past weight those late season performances a little bit heavier, if you will, than early season performances. Perhaps that can play into the hand of Sparty as well. Guys, on the flip side of this one, I don't think anyone's really sounding the panic button for Michigan at the moment. Number 2 team in the nation, destined for a 1-line in the tournament. What is your biggest concern right now, Gary, regarding this team if they do want to make a push at a national title?
Well, I didn't understand the loss earlier this week to Illinois. I mean, that was a real, where did that come from? Illinois is without its best player, and you've been rolling, and then they just smash you in a way that literally nobody saw coming. As Norlander and I discussed on the Island College Basketball Podcast, that has to be one of the more surprising results that this season has produced. Then they bounced back and they beat Michigan State comfortably, and then this is not that concerning to me. You know, it's a loss in the regular season finale on the road to an NCAA tournament team who is playing for everything, where, as you accurately noted, Michigan's basically got everything wrapped up right now. They're going to be the 1 seed in the Big Ten tournament even with this loss. I'm pretty confident they're going to be a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament even with this loss. We can debate now whether they drop below Illinois or not. I think that's a sensible debate to have. But either way, you're not going to find 4 teams that have better resumes than Michigan's next Sunday. So Michigan didn't have nearly as much to play for Michigan State. Perhaps that has as much to do with what happened today as anything else.
Yeah, the loss isn't too concerning. Coming down the stretch here, taking a couple after not having more than one up to that point, I understand. It's really about Eli Brooks, though. He's not Michigan's best player. He's not its second best player, but he is a valuable starter, and he left in the first half of this game with an ankle tweak, and we're going to have to wait and see how severe that is. Hopefully it's not severe. Frankly, I'm done with important players on Final Four contenders suffering significant injuries. So hopefully Eli Brooks is good enough to return well in time for the Big Ten tournament. Of course, Michigan will get the double bye and will be automatically slotted into the quarterfinals, with it being the number 1 seed in that league tournament. So I think that's the primary concern for Michigan and its fan base right now. And I can understand why you might have a little bit of, what's going on here? We've taken a couple losses. Just keep in mind, the Big Ten's the best conference in America, and Michigan, understandably, just had a couple of bumps. They're going up against a rival, desperate team. The date of the season shows that if you play the same opponent within 24, 48-hour kind of period, that second game often does not yield the same results, similar results as the first one. So Michigan State kind of played into that pattern, doing so in a borderline must-have situation for the Spartans. So I don't have too much concern with Michigan's outlook overall.
Yeah, it was exactly what Michigan State needed. They took advantage of all of the opportunities laid in front of them over this last 2-week stretch, and it's provided some exciting moments in the Big Ten. And I feel like we're just getting started with some Big Ten hoop here as we look forward to the Big Ten tournament and all of our conference tournaments coming up here prior to Selection Sunday. I want to hone in on the Big Ten for the purposes of this conversation, Matt. Give me your tiering. Obviously, at the top of the conference, we're talking about Illinois, Michigan, perhaps Iowa's in that top tier. How many teams do you think could really make some noise, be second weekend teams in the tournament this year?
Plenty. And I'll be interested to see, by the way, with the Big Ten tournament is going to play its tournament in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil Stadium. Not a basketball arena, the football arena. That will be something of a dress rehearsal for the NCAA tournament. But it's going to be in a region that's Big Ten country. So a lot of these teams will have a geographic advantage in terms of travel. Fans will be allowed to attend the games. You could have a decent fan contingent there, even though capacity will max out at 25%. I think that conference actually might get something of an intangible boost given where the tournament is happening. Not to mention, if you have 1 or 2 Big Ten teams get into the first 4, Purdue's joint and Indiana's joint will wind up hosting. In terms of what teams can make the deepest runs, Michigan, Illinois, Iowa, I think are a tier to themselves. I might even go Michigan, Illinois on a separate tier. And I have to discuss what's going on right now. This is becoming the best rivalry in college basketball. So Michigan finishes its season 14-3. It's the 1 seed. It wins on win percentage. The Big Ten is not going to change its rules for basketball the way that it did for football with Ohio State to make sure Ohio State could get to the college football playoff. That's not changing. Michigan's going to be the 1 seed. Illinois got to play all of its Big Ten games. It's 16-4. It doesn't have as good of a win percentage, but it played the full allotment, and it has more victories there. You got Trent Frazier on Saturday night making a makeshift Big Ten Champions trophy, sign, plaque, whatever you want to call it, because they finished their schedule, and then he just retweets it after the Michigan loss. These teams have to play again. They played once. Illinois won at Michigan. Give me this matchup. I want it in Indianapolis for the Big Ten tournament. I want it again in the Final Four if we can have it happen. Illinois-Michigan is the rivalry. Cannot wait to see it. We better get another one. One is not enough, and there's a real beef going on right now.
I'm going to ignore Norlander saying Michigan-Illinois is the greatest rivalry in college basketball and just focus strictly on the Big Ten in general, which is, yes, the best league in the country. And I think they've got 5 legitimate Final Four contenders. You know, you start the list with Michigan and Illinois. I think Ohio State's still got to be on it. Iowa, of course. That's a team that's guarding better lately. That's a good sign. And then Purdue hasn't gotten nearly as much attention as any of the teams that that I first referenced. But, you know, they're top 15 at KenPom right now, which suggests that, yeah, they're a Final Four contender. Ultimately, I do not think the Big Ten is going to win a national title for the first time since 2000, because I think the West Coast Conference is going to win a national title for the first time ever, and that's going to be Gonzaga. But certainly no league in the country has more darts to throw at the board than the Big Ten. And if they put 3 teams in the Final Four, that would not be that surprising to me.
Matt Norlander and Gary Parrish breaking it all down here on CBS Sports HQ. Perhaps a CC to Brad Underwood. Somebody get on that. Thank you, guys. For more from our team of college basketball hoop stars, be sure to download and subscribe the Eye on College Basketball podcast. Matt Norlander, Gary Parrish breaking it all down as we head towards turning time. There's no better time to get involved than right now. It's the Eye on College Basketball podcast.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.